All right, it is almost the end of the year and 2023 is very close, and I thought it would be a pretty good time to do my top 10 movies of the year. Granted, there are a bunch of movies that I have not seen this year, and some of the movies that I'm going to mention on my list are movies that I didn't talk about on this channel because I started this channel in July. But anyways, let's get into it. A couple of months ago, Terrifier 2 came out, and before I had even watched it, I was hearing people were passing out, people were throwing up from watching the movie, and I even made a video that got very mixed opinions from people because I didn't think that, the movie looked that scary. But it wasn't scary in the way that most horror movies are, and it felt more like a torture fest for 2 hours. But what I liked about this movie was the fact that, it still had Art the Clown and made him an even more great of a villain than he was in the first one, while also making much better human characters in this movie, and also setting up an Art the Clown mythology, and it'll be interesting to see what they do for the next Terrifier movie. I don't have much to say about Bullet Train. I think I have a review for this one on my channel, although it's a quick one. But what I'm going to say about this movie is that it was a blast. I really don't understand why critics didn't seem to like this movie. It didn't take itself seriously. It wasn't trying to be a Best Picture nomination. It was just trying to provide some much needed entertainment to the audience. X was one of the best horror movies that came out this year. The cinematography was really well done, and it felt like it came straight from the 70s itself. All of the performances were great, whether it was, Jenna Ortega, whether it was Mia Goth, or even Kid Cudi. And although the movie does start off slow, once we get to the third act of this movie, that's when the movie starts to really shine. And by the way, this movie had one of the most suspenseful final 30 minutes of the year. Nope ended up being the surprise of the year for me personally, just because I knew that this movie was going to be good, but I didn't think it was going to be great, and it ended up being great. All of the performances are great. The score is probably some of the best that has come out this year, and this might actually be Jordan Peele's best directed movie, and I am very intrigued to see what other movies he has in store for us in the future. Like I said, 2022 was a really great year for horror movies, and in my personal opinion, Barbarian was the best one. It had a really good opening and a really good first half. I wasn't that much of a fan of the Justin Long stuff in the middle of the movie, but once we get back to that basement, the movie just hits a really good extra gear. And I think that the ending of this movie was really unexpected, and I really hope that future horror movies take a lesson from this one. Sorry that the music for that one is a bit too long. I just really like that sound. But anyways, Avatar: The Way of Water was probably one of the most hyped up movies of all time because so many people really wanted to see this movie fail, and so many people wanted to see this movie succeed. And as of this recording, I believe Avatar 2 is about to hit $1 billion, and it's probably going to hit $2 billion. But let's actually talk about the movie itself. Avatar 2 did everything better than the first one. It has better CGI, it has way better characters, it has better story. Whether or not it has a better soundtrack is debatable, but I think that this movie was just an overall blast. It was able to make us care about new characters, and I think that was very important because obviously the kids and, the villain for this movie, they're going to be in a bunch of the other Avatar movies, and if we didn't care about these characters, there probably wouldn't be multiple Avatar movies. Once again, I didn't have high expectations for Avatar 2. I knew it was probably going to make a bunch of money, but I didn't think it was going to be in my top 10 of the year. So this movie really surprised me, and James Cameron just seems to know how to make a really great sequel. Everything Everywhere All at Once is already a classic. We're going to be talking about this movie 10 to 20 years from now in the same way that we're talking about it now. I don't have any new thoughts or insightful opinions about this one. Everything that I think about the movie has already been said, and the reason why I really enjoy this movie is simply its answer to nihilism. Michelle Yeoh and Ke Huy Quan both give some of the best performances of their careers, and it should be good enough for them to both get nominated and even potentially win. And I'm not the type of guy to watch these type of things, but if they are both nominated for this movie, I might actually watch the Academy Awards for once. Ciao, papa, mio papa. If you've seen my review for this movie, you know that I absolutely love it. I think that Guillermo del Toro is one of the best directors working today, and you can see the passion that he has for movies in every single film that he has done. I think that everyone in the cast was on their A game, and I'm glad that stop motion animation seems to be making a comeback. This year has been a very disappointing year for superhero movies. It seems like we haven't gotten that many great superhero movies. We've gotten a bunch of good ones and some average ones, but I think The Batman is easily the best one that has come out this year. And not only is it the best superhero movie of this year, I also think it's one of the greatest superhero movies of all time. Everyone, and I mean everyone in this movie is great, whether it's the actors or actresses, whether it's the director, whether it's the composer. Everyone just seemed to be at the top of their game for this movie, and I am really, really excited for another Batman movie. Top Gun Maverick is the movie of the year for me. It has everything that you would want in an action blockbuster movie. It has its moments of comedy. It has some of the best action of this year and probably of all time. Tom Cruise has been on a streak of hit movies for the past decade, and it's going to be very interesting to see what other movies Tom Cruise does aside from, the Mission Impossible movies. Hans Zimmer actually had a really, really great score that it's kind of underrated because of all the other great scores that Hans Zimmer has had, so I guess it's kind of a good problem for him. And apparently Top Gun has been in some Oscar talks, and I don't mean in the way that, Tom Cruise getting nominated for Best Actor. I don't think that's going to happen, but apparently Top Gun might get a Best Picture nomination. Usually these kind of movies don't get this kind of, Oscar attention, but in this climate, anything's possible. And overall, guys, these are my top 10 movies of the year. What are your top 10 movies of the year? Do you agree with my list? Let me know in the comments. And those are my thoughts on that.